The first thing that seems wrong is how safe it looks. A herd moves across the lake before dawn, stepping over a dark island that shines like wet stone. Their feet make no dust, their shadows stretch across the surface long and blue. Around the island, the lake is perfectly still, so black it reflects the pale sky without a single ripple. Nothing moves beneath them. The animals trust the ground because it holds their weight. They lower their heads to scrape mineral frost from the surface. Their narrow hooves click against something hard, thin, and slightly warm. The island looks like land. It is not. Near the herd's last footprints, the dark crust dents inward. The mark does not break, it slowly lifts back into shape, as if the island has skin. A second dent appears, then a third. The surface tightens around each hoofprint, sealing itself without mud, without stone, without any grain of soil. The herd keeps walking. Only when the light grows warmer does the island begin to breathe. At first the movement is almost invisible. A low swell passes under the black crust, the edge of the island rises by a few inches, then settles. The animals pause, their ears turn. The lake remains mirror, flat, but the ground beneath them wrinkles. The wrinkle spreads across the island, like an old scar opening. A line of pale blue light appears inside it, below the dark skin. Something moves. The black lake does not grow islands from rock, it grows them from its own surface. At night, a thin living membrane spreads across the water and hardens in patches. The membrane gathers minerals from the air, traps warmth from the low sun, and catches drifting spores, dust, and small surface organisms. By morning, it can feel like solid ground. By noon, it begins to peel. The herd has arrived during the wrong hour, the island softens under them. One animal tries to run, its hooves strike the crust and the crust answers by flexing. A long fold rises ahead of it, blocking the path like a black wave frozen into leather. Another fold lifts behind it. The island is not chasing. It is closing. Lake has made a temporary floor, and now the floor is being collected. The first crack opens wide enough to reveal the water below. It is not empty. Far beneath the membrane, blue-white organisms drift like lanterns in a deep well. They rise toward the crack, as if they have been waiting for the sky to open. The herd scatters toward the rim, some reach the true shoreline, others find only softening skin where the island used to be. The surface stretches beneath them, dark and elastic. Their weight pulls the membrane downward into shallow bowls. The bowls fill with light from below, then the island peels. Not all at once, it opens in sections, curling back from the cracks like wet bark. The glowing organisms gather under each exposed strip. Fine filaments extend upward, touching the underside of the membrane, drawing nutrients through it. The lake is feeding. The animals that escape leave behind prints that slowly close. The animals that do not disappear into folds of black skin, hidden more than swallowed, held in the softening crust while the deep life rises beneath them. By afternoon, there is no island, only a perfect black lake again, with a few pale rings moving under the surface. The next day, new islands appear somewhere else. Some are small enough for a single nesting creature. Some are wide enough to hold forests of temporary stalks. Some form narrow bridges across the lake, inviting migration from one shore to another. Every shape is useful. A raft collects spores. A ridge collects mineral dust. A bridge collects movement. The lake does not think like an animal, but its skin behaves like a patient trap. Across the western basin, small six-legged grazers test the surface before crossing. They tap with their front limbs, searching for the hollow sound of young membrane. Fresh skin rings softly. Old skin gives a dull knock. The grazers have learned to avoid the warmest patches, because warm patches are closest to peeling. But hunger makes them careless. A strip of black membrane beside the shore is covered with pale mineral bloom. The grazers step onto it one by one, their tongues scrape the bloom. Their bodies press heat into the surface. Below them, the lake responds. A field of tiny pores opens in the skin, no mouth appears. No jaw, only thousands of pinholes breathing vapor into the morning air. The mineral bloom darkens and sinks, the grazers lift their heads, the surface under their feet has become softer. They back away slowly, one young grazer stumbles. The membrane wrinkles around its legs, not breaking, only gripping, its herd pulls away to the shore. The trapped one struggles until the skin tightens into a smooth pocket, blue light gathers underneath. The pocket sinks, lake surface heals above it. The most successful animals here do not search for land. They search for edges. Edges are safer because the membrane is thinner and tears before it can fold. Along the shore, long-legged waders move from one dark plate to another, never standing still for more than a few seconds. Their feet are broad and cool, spreading their weight without warming the skin. They feed on tiny glowing threads that rise through cracks, but the lake feeds on them in return. When too many waders gather, the island changes texture. Smooth skin becomes ridged. Ridges become channels. Channels guide the birds toward the center. Where the membrane thickens, the animals believe they are following safe cracks. They are being arranged. At sunset, the center opens. The waders lift away just in time, their wings flashing against the black water. Beneath them, the island folds inward like a closing flower. For a moment, the entire lake glows from below. A living city of pale bodies rises under the skin, feeding on the collected day. The membrane is not only a trap, it is also a stomach, a lung and a moving field. During cold nights, heat trapped under the black skin keeps the deep organisms active. During dry seasons, membrane islands collect airborne minerals that the black water lacks. During migration, false land brings heavy animals across the basin, carrying spores, eggs, scales, and parasites from one shore to another. The lake eats what falls, it also farms what crosses. Some creatures have learned to use the false islands as nurseries. A flat-bodied amphibian lays eggs in shallow wrinkles before the membrane hardens. The young hatch inside the skin itself, protected from swimmers below and flyers above, for a few hours. The island is a cradle, then the blue light rises. The hatchlings must cut themselves free before the lake reclaims the membrane. Those that escape slide into the shore mud, those that remain become part of the next feeding bloom. Nothing here is simply safe or dangerous, safety is a phase. Land is a phase, even ground has a schedule. Near the deepest center, the lake creates its largest island only once during each long season. It begins as a dark stain spreading across the water, then the stain thickens. Wind cannot move it. Rain beads on it. Animals gather at its edge for days waiting for the mineral crust to become strong enough to cross. When it finally hardens, the island is enormous. From a distance, it resembles a black continent. Herds climb onto it, winged grazers land along its ridges, rootless plants unfold from its warm surface. For one morning, the lake appears to have become land. Then the center pulses, a circular wrinkle expands across the island. Every creature stops, the pulse comes again, stronger. The rootless plants fold shut, small animals flee to the edge. The largest herd remains in the middle, too far from shore. The first tear opens beneath them, blue-white, light floods upward, the island is hollow. The membrane peels back in rings, each ring curling toward the center. Underneath, vast glowing organisms rise from the black water, their bodies shaped like slow lanterns and branching nerves. They press against the underside of the skin, drinking from it, passing nutrients along their filaments into the depths. The herd runs over a surface that is no longer ground but moving tissue sections. Lift sections sink, some parts harden again for seconds. Just long enough to seem safe, then loosen under the next step. The lake does not swallow in anger. It recycles. By night, the giant island has become strips, then ribbons, then floating black petals. The petals drift apart, each one surrounded by glowing feeders. The last herd silhouettes vanish into mist at the far shore, behind them. Beneath the water, hundreds of pale lights move in new patterns, brighter than before, spreading outward from the place where the island had been. The lake has eaten its own land. Tomorrow, it will grow more.